All right, good morning, everyone. Hopefully, you can hear me okay in the futures room. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. It is Monday, right? I don't know why that's funny. I just think it's always funny. You know, how's everyone doing? And how was your weekend? Good morning, Zion. Good to see you, Juck. I always want to say it fancy because it doesn't have the K, but I know it just is supposed to be JACK. And you can come over to the light side anytime you want. And we're here to invite you to bring on that extra K, okay? Like Grinky with the strikeouts. We just need one extra strikeout, Grinky. Well, here we are. Let's talk about the Nas crack. Let's talk about the overnight move that I did catch. It was a small little short, and I'll throw on my the old Tasty Works here. I don't typically do this, but I was just looking at the 13,940, 925. We're going to run through some charts real quick in the pre-market. We are going to focus on the NASDAQ just for a minute, and then we're going to try to catch the dip. And here we are at 949.50. And if you're new to trading or new to Simpler, first of all, welcome. My name's Jack. This is a joy of mine. It's an absolute love of my life is trading. Don't tell my wife. Um, but see, that's not even funny either. So let's go through some levels real quick. Some things that I want to buy, and we'll go into this one first. On the S&P, you can look at 4170 for the buy side. And then also, we're going to be right back down here to 4160. And then on the NASDAQ, actually, I like 4160 a little bit better. And then I'll show you why I was focusing on that 13,950. Here we are. And then I'm looking at these 13,9. You could even do 45. We're trying to buy this thing. But here's the deal, folks. Okay. On a Monday, I typically give the market about 10 or 15 minutes to figure out what it might want to do, right? And then what we can do is just establish some levels that seem ideal for a buy or a sell. And right now, what I want to do is really focus on the NASDAQ and that 13,950. If you want to go ahead and put in an order to buy at 50 or lower, you have my blessing. That's what I'm going to do. But as you know, as your guide into the morning and seeing that we have about 6 minutes until the opening bell, what I want to do is just go through some of my routine with you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on a 1 minute chart, and then I'll bring this out to a 5 minute chart. And then we'll say, okay, well, here's our previous high and low from Thursday and Friday, which are two things that I always consider. Like, what is the possibility of us going, down to Wednesday's lows, right? And what that would mean is at least a 200 or 300 point pullback. And what's interesting about this overnight move is we're down 72 points, and that's why I want to give this market a little bit of breathing room. So I'm not going to be forcing a trade at buying it 13,950. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back. We're going to talk about some more things. We're going to be going through my charts, and we're going to see if this turns into a more developed pullback, a stronger pullback, a big liquidity break. We're out of monthly expiration. We're out of the first week of April. The question for me is, do we have a significant pullback today and tomorrow, and then we buy that? All at the same time. The market gods are not making it easy for us. All at the same time, do we have some type of, on Wednesday, maybe Thursday, do we have a reversion to the mean? And what that means is you'll hear all of us talk about it, but all we mean is off of a daily chart, are we going to pull back in a major way down to the daily 21? And that's wild to say because that's a 400 point pullback. So we'll see. Like, we don't want to actually buy the 13,950s right now, at least in the first 15 minutes of the market. Let's just kind of see what develops, and let's take a collective sip of coffee. If you want to get your coffee nice and ready, and make sure everything is solid and just ready to go, ready to observe the situation. There are a lot of really good stock setups. We have a really interesting scenario of crypto. Kind of the crypto world is getting crazy. It's got me all excited. And good morning, Trisha. Good morning, SM. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Oh, it's your initials. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Well, that's okay. All right. Well, I went on a 3-minute diatribe then. So all good, all good. So it's your initials. So we really should just be saying JAC. Let's get focused. We have 3 minutes till the open. Good morning, Bob. Good to see you. Hope the ankle's doing well. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, you're kind of, I mean, I'm checking my watch, buddy. You should be fully healed by now. Anyway, my YouTube people, how are you doing? Welcome to Simpler if you're new. I'm going to outline the morning for you. We are going to sit back and watch this thing. It could get wild. It could get crazy. Why? Well, let's take a look at this chart. I'm going to throw up another one for you. This is called the put call skew hedges. And basically what it is just a very, very simple put call versus the skew versus the NASDAQ, kind of how it lines up and what we can expect as far as a pullback. Now, it's weird to say, for me, I'll always be a closet bear. It's something that I've always loved, a bear market, right? Because you can really do well on those nasty, nasty pullbacks. But you got to be careful. We haven't had that at all. The put call ratio is not screaming bearish at me right now. The skew is still under 145. So, do we have a situation where instead of, pulling back or reverting to the mean, are we just going to pull back to the daily 8, which would be another maybe 100 points lower than where we are now, 13,850? And then are we going to just buy that and continue to go? Here's the interesting thing. We have a lot of tickers that we typically follow that are, one, either going to have earnings on either this week or the beginning of next week. Tesla is a good example of that. And then you have a daily squeeze that has fired, but it really hasn't climbed too much. So Tesla, Amazon, we're going to be watching all the big names. If they catch a bid, then maybe we do have, and this is what I talked a lot about last week, was we had a carbon copy of the week prior. In other words, the big day where it got kind of hairy was Wednesday, and 2 weeks ago it was a really nasty 300-point, and I use round numbers, but 300-point NASDAQ pullback on Wednesday. And then last week, Wednesday was kind of neutral to whatever. And then, both Fridays continued to gap up, and Thursday gap up, and then Friday follow through. So maybe we get another week of that, but I'm expecting a pullback. That's why I want to be very, very careful with all my VIPs and all my special people. Tesla crash over the weekend. Mimic for. Good morning, Lorna. Good to see you. No marathons, quite. Bob, no marathons. No marathons for me either, I guess. All right, cool. So let's stand by and see what is happening. Make sure I get to hey SM, let me know which chart you're talking about. If you're asking about this one, I would not mind at all sharing this with you. And so if we get down to 13,900, then I'm going to be buying 13,850. I'm not going to fade the morning yet because it could possibly get bid up at 13,950. And all my YouTubers over here, let's just kind of sit back and see what the opening 5 to 10 minutes gives us. And then we'll kind of see. It is kind of quiet. We don't have really nasty or positive ticks. Market internals are kind of quiet. And so let's see here, 980. Tesla 720, Amazon on the right hand side, 33.99, 5 points here. $13,985. Okay, so we bounced off of that 950. If you we're trying to buy the morning, there you go. It's definitely not. We're not down 1% in the Nasdaq. We're not even down 0.5%. And so buying the 950 would have been just perfect. But on a Monday, as a trader, if you're new, first of all, what we do here in my sessions is focus on micro futures, which are 1/10 the size of E-minis. Okay, so they're very, very small. And the thing that I like about it is, one, it doesn't take up a lot of mental angst or capital requirement. It's just very easy going, and it's a great way to grow a small account. And what you have to do, the trick behind trading micros is, in a small account, keep it at 2 or 3 contracts and have a little bit of a looser stop and get, be able to be in a trade where you might have to take a little bit of heat, and it's not really an instrument where you need to really stress out, as long as you're watching position size. If you're in a new small account and you're just trying to get your feet wet in futures, micro futures is just the way to go, and keep it at 2 or 3 contracts, and you'll be able to see why. And for teaching's sake, or just to be your guide this morning, let's go ahead and I'm just going to briefly have a short on 3 contracts, and I'm going to send this, and I'm going to fill right here. And so I'm just right now, for teaching's sake, you can see my P&L right here on the right hand side in this very, very small corner. And actually, let me move this so we can all get a glimpse and move. Okay, I did have it there, right? Okay, cool. So you can see the fluctuations here on 3 contracts. It's kind of big. What I did was, I put on a small short just to give you an example of the fluctuations. And here we have some negative 500 ticks at 14,000. So right now, for this example, I do have a short on 3 micro futures contracts on the NASDAQ. And then if you really want to see, if you wanted to see the futures margin requirement and all this stuff, every micro future starts with M. So I have the NASDAQ highlighted, and then 3 contracts instead of 1 would be $1.50 a tick. So you'll see the numerical value here is actually changing in 3s because I have $3 because I have 3 contracts. So you'll see, if it just does a small tick, even though it's the NASDAQ, and it's probably not going to because it's a wild bucking bronco, you'll see that the moves here are within $3 to $6 on the P&L. and 2 contracts would be, you'd see less of a fluctuation there. And so I always say keep your size small. And if you're, in a larger account and you're not really used to trading the regular E-minis, I would say micro futures, keep it at 3 or 4 contracts still, because 5 or 6 contracts just kind of gets you into territory of the regular E-minis anyway. So, so why would you, why just not trade the E-minis, Amazon's showing some strength. I get my S's right. SH and S. And right now it's holding up quite well. I do expect one more dip down to that 13,950. This market doesn't surprise me at all. It can hang out at 14,000. It can have a liquidity break. And then for my example here, you can see that I'm already down $55 on 3 contracts. But guess what? I don't care, because that's such a small numerical value. What I'm looking for is to take profits at 50 or $100. And what I'll do is I'll rinse and repeat. And throughout the day, either I'll have 2 or 3 trades in the morning and then 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then my daily goal is $400 in this small account, which I believe this is a brand new account that I started, and it is, where is it? So this one is a $7,000 account. I thought I didn't have. It's a 60. I'm sorry. For some reason, I did a weird $6,500 account here. I don't know. Oh, I have 4 accounts, so maybe I was trying to get rid of an old one. So 6,500 is a weird number. I typically do 5 or 7 or 10. But right now, you can see at the very top here, net liquidity, P&L year to date. So I'm just trying to grow this small account. For anyone that's new, come on in and see me in the futures room every day at 1 o'clock Central. We trade micros, and we are going to grow this. And then I also bounce into the options world with you to kind of give you a taste of how I do things. But NASDAQ holding up here at 14,000. I'm expecting another dip, and so I will get out of my short. And I just wanted to throw this example up so you could see in real time what it looks like to be in 3 contracts. And you can see we're just kind of moving back and forth between 50 and $100, negative, positive. And then what I want to really do, because we opened up okay, is just sit on my hands and do nothing, because this can turn it's Monday and we're only 7 to 9 minutes into the cash session, and 15 minutes into the cash session really does give the market time to typically make a decision, kind of give us some ground to work with. And because I am expecting a pullback, it's an especially difficult morning to have directional conviction or market conviction, especially after being so strong. I mean, Amazon's up 1%. We can go through some other things, but just wanted to show you all this and continue to show you why I do things. Good morning, Twitchy. Good to see you. An RTY waterfall. Let me see that. Folks, we have some really, really witty and amazing members with a great description, actually. Let's do a 5-minute chart. Yeah, but quite the recovery, though, right? So 22.38, and that 13,950 got bought up perfectly. And I tell you what, it's a it's a love-hate relationship Monday mornings for futures traders, as it should be, right? because you do have these lows and highs from Thursday and Friday. We looked at these levels and we decided, hey, if you wanted to get in at 950, that's awesome. I'm going to give it a little bit of a break and see what we can do. But it's a total Monday mornings are a catch-22. It's just a difficult place to be because we have no. It's difficult because monthly expiration is over, and as a trader, I really need to be careful to make sure that we don't have a really nasty pullback below 950. Because if we do get to 950, then we're talking about 888, and then if we break through that, it's 825. And if you've been involved in a long at 950 and you had a 50-point stop on micro futures, then it turns into a losing trade, and that's okay. It's Monday. We don't have to do anything just yet. So we have 4 minutes until the opening 15 minutes, and it's holding up decently. I'm interested to see if we have maybe within the first 30 minutes of the market, see if we don't at least retest 980. And so if you have questions or comments, let me know, and I will make sure to get to everything. Just letting the market breathe a little bit here. Oh, okay, SM, this chart. This is the chart that I thought you were asking about. Let me share this for you. No problem. Yeah, this is super helpful. Hey, David, good morning, my friend. Good to see you. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Dropping that in the futures room for our amazing members in 3, 2, 1. Okay, how are we doing here? And this is brutally quiet at 14,000 right now. Okay, so as you can see, we were down a little bit in this trade. I wanted to go ahead and short this down to 950 for educational purposes, just to give you another look at that P&L on 3 micro futures contracts on the NASDAQ. And give this a few more moments. And so I have a short-term short. This is what this is. This is just a very quick kind of educational fade. Just to give you a taste of, what could happen trading micros, especially whenever you catch a nice 20 or 30 point move. And that's what I'm trying to do. I want you to focus on the right-hand side on my P&L right here. And, once we get into the profit range of maybe 50 to 100 bucks, we'll take it off. And then if we can hold 950, that's great, because I don't want to be stuck in a short for too long. And we're just going to grow the crap out of this small account. We are going to grow it, and we are going to use options to do it and micro futures to supplement the options trading. And that's how I roll. So let's just let this unwind here. This is eerily quiet. Very, very close to the high range of last Friday. not extremely negative or positive ticks. This to me looks suspicious. So I don't mind being in my short. I don't mind being, looking to retest 950. And y'all, this is something that I had to learn. I'm always talking about how I've constantly practicing patience. I think it's super important in the market. It's really fishing for you to make an emotional move, right? As long as you're aware of that, you have significant edge over other traders, but you have significant edge over the long run if you can be more patient and look for significant, pivot points, no matter what indicator you're using. If you're following along with Raghi or David, and using some of their indicators, awesome. Let's take a look at, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're looking for, have a plan, look at your levels and go, okay, well, it makes sense to maybe buy here or short here. But I'm looking for 960, and then I'll get out of this short as quick as possible. And the ticks really aren't that positive at all. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Is Netflix up? Okay, so let's take a quick trip around the world, and because they are burned into my memory, we're going to do this fast. Not too fast, though. Not at the expense of understanding what's going on, but let's go through Netflix, and we'll keep the NASDAQ up on the right-hand side. And then let's go through all the other tickers that I have just, like I said, burned into my memory. I think Netflix does continue to push higher. There's a couple things going in the bullish direction. It's up. It has a micro squeeze on the hourly. It has a 4-hour micro squeeze. And the other thing, too, what's really weird is this weekly squeeze. But we're so high above the daily 8, and this is a weekly time frame, so it's kind of weird to look at. But just remember that we have earnings in Netflix coming up, and I'm going to be bullish through earnings, and I'm looking to trade back into the higher range of 560, 570, and ultimately looking for that 1272 at 575. I do need to take a look at Max Payne real quick, just to see where it settled after monthly expiration. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this real quick on another chart, on another screen, and look up Netflix Max Payne. So it's 537.5. Oh, 537.5 is Max Payne on Netflix. And then let's take a look at Amazon and Tesla. We'll talk about crypto here in a minute. Y'all, I started looking at crypto about, let's see, it's 2021. I would say 2014, 2015. Y'all, Chewy is one of my favorite long setups, just for the record. If you're focusing on something that has high short interest, Chewy looks amazing. It has a daily squeeze. It's been squeezing for a while, a lot longer than it typically does. So typically it's squeezing for, right now it's been squeezing for 14 days. The squeeze count officially is 11, fired long 7, fired short 4. And then let's keep on rolling here. So let's also take a look at Lulu. Lulu has a decent setup. It has a daily squeeze and a micro forming. Another good long that I really, really like. Anytime I trade retail, the first one that I go to is Lulu for a setup. Let's see what semiconductors are doing, and let's do the semiconductor ETF. Real quiet around 14,000 in the NASDAQ as I look at it. NVIDIA and AMD are going to be either neutral to down. So NVIDIA is down just a little bit. and then AMD is neutral. Okay. So let me go ahead and get out of this short. Okay. So I did have a trade on in the overnights. I have kind of a, I'm trying to use a baseball analogy, like a pitcher. And like who was a weird pitcher, but an extremely successful pitcher? I think sports and baseball specifically really relate to trading. Like, here's a great example. Gaylord Perry, that's a good one, Jack. That's a good one. Yes, AZ. I'm a Texas boy, a Texas man. I mean, I was thinking like Oral Hershiser. I was thinking, Grinke, but I wasn't gonna say Greg Maddux because he was totally not out of totally not out of left field. It's painful. I know it's painful. And he was also my favorite pitcher. So, but it's really just a way of looking at this type of instrument and going, okay, not a lot of capital requirement. You can rinse and repeat on 2 or 3 contracts and be easily up $400 in a day. And I found that $400 on 3 contracts for a typical micro futures trader is kind of the magic number, where I'm comfortable with the risk that's on, and I'm comfortable that I'm comfortable with the heat or the amount of loss that I can take in a trade with a very loose stop. And this is brutally quiet around 14,000. It makes sense to me that we would revisit the lows again, though. And I'll be honest, I'm looking for a pullback in the indexes. And I don't think we're going to get it right here. Anything can happen, but the market could not be more, really just more neutral. So y'all, I've been doing this a long time, and the no trade Monday morning on some quiet market internals and some weird levels were in between 14,000 and we're in between 13,950, and we can't seem to make any type of strong directional move. And then for educational purposes here, I'll go ahead and short 3 more again. And then you can see the fluctuations in the P&L. So just short 13,989. I just did a market order so you could see this. And then we'll go right back down to that chart that I shared with you and zoom in. And this is just my morning routine. I've been doing this for a long time. I think micros came out in July or June of 2018 or 2019. I can't remember. For some reason, I just think 2019. Doesn't matter. Very new, 2 or 3 years old, super easy to trade, very fun to trade, and I don't like to, stack the boat at all and be too hasty either. So we have limitations on my end that have bode me well. So it's patience, it's position size, it's your key pivot levels, it's what is the market doing in general, all that good stuff. And y'all, honestly, on a Monday after last week, I am perfectly comfortable with being in cash right now. It feels great, to be honest. And I don't think I have any other positions on except for maybe Chewy as far as options. Oh yeah, so I have the 87.90 put credit spread on Chewy, but that's into next Friday's expiration, I believe. April 30th. When is the 30th? It's Friday, right? It has to be a Friday. We're not talking about the SPX. What is the downside target against that $400 where you stop for the day? What is the downside target against that $400 where you stop for the day? What is a downside target? Zion, can you rephrase that for me? Oh, what's my daily stop loss? Oh, so in the hypothetical that I was like down for the day, gotcha. Max loss, gotcha. So on 3 contracts, um, I have typically we do a 40 or 50 point stop, and if I take one losing trade in the morning, I do not jump in again just to do a revenge trade. I kind of call it a day, y'all. And then if I'm paying attention around, key levels at 230 and we start to get really nasty negative ticks, then I'll go ahead and short the end of day, or, and that's hypothetical because I actually have not shorted the end of day at all in a long time. We've typically bought, the end of day, whether it was Thursday or Friday. We did both, and they were great trades, and we nailed those levels at 950, 960. And then we've gotten out at 14,025 multiple times, and this is just very quiet. So we've actually had a Monday like this before in the past 2 weeks, and then Tuesday was somewhat strong, and then Wednesday was either neutral or we had a sell-off. But to directly answer your question, if I'm down $200 in the morning, then I'm just, I kind of call it a day, because I'll make that up the next day or in the afternoon, or we'll do a 1 o'clock trade in the futures room together. And it also depends on the volatility of the market. If it's quiet right here, and for some reason I'm down $100 or $200, we'll keep on going. But the max loss is going to actually be the $400 that I try to make every day. It just hasn't happened in a long time where I've actually taken a $400 loss in my small account. Yep, and as an example here, I'll just show you. Brand new $6,500 account. I had a really good trade on Amazon last week on just 2 contracts, just to put credit spread, and then and right now just short 3 micros, and I'm going to continue to hold this short at 950 and jump out. I think that this does smell suspicious. So, and what I mean by that is the market's not going super high, and we're not breaking through 14,000. It's stalling right here. So maybe we can take advantage of one more dip, and then we can buy the 950s and 960s. That's my plan. If you are just going to be patient this morning and just listen to me talk and run through my ideas with me, awesome. I mean, Monday it's not my favorite. As far as trading, specifically in the morning, I typically favor the afternoon, because whenever you're sitting at, the poker table, I just want to see more cards before I start throwing out my hand. If I have deuce aces, right, I'm gonna fish you. I'm gonna bring you in. I'm gonna pull as much coin as I can off of you into the middle of the table. I want to see all the cards, and then in the afternoon, I'm going to show you my deuce aces and take the entire pot. Now that's an analogy, and it's some hyperbole as well. Of course, I better make sure that's right. I hope Mandy's, Mandy, if you heard that, please fact check me. Mandy knows sorry to put you on the spot here, Mandy. Mandy's one of my favorite people in the world, and she also used to read the dictionary, so she pretty much knows every definition to every word that might exist. I hope she's laughing at me right now. Incredibly brilliant. One time we were at the office, and I used atypical wrong in front of her, and I didn't realize it until I got in my car to head home from the office, and I almost texted her. I was like, hey, did I use atypical wrong but I knew that I had. And she's so nice, she didn't call me out on it. So, you know, here's one for making a huge mistake in front of somebody that literally knows the definition to every word. All right, just quietly looking at the market. Nothing pointing out too strong. Is there anything as far as stock tickers that you want me to take a look at? I didn't want to jump into the bigger names. I just wanted to focus on some ETFs like the semiconductor ETF. It looks solid, y'all. I think you can buy this at the daily 8, which is where we're at right now. Unfortunately, there's not a squeeze happening. I typically like to buy the daily 8 in a squeeze. We don't have that. Not yet, at least. Hey, Neil, good to see you. How was your weekend, my friend? God, is it already 9 o'clock? So we're 30 minutes into the cash session. We have, for the first time, negative 600 ticks that are starting to look a little bit consistent. I give this about a minute or two to really give me an idea of, are these strong ticks, or is this institutional selling, which would surprise me because it's been such a quiet morning. But once again, here we go. I have a 50-point stop on any of my positions this morning, and then back down to my short here. You can see the P&L fluctuating pretty heavily below 990. So you can see I'm basically been net short the entire morning because I don't have positive ticks. I have a somewhat neutral to, I mean, it's a neutral morning. That's what it is. Let's not call it anything else. And then, I haven't looked at any of the names that I typically look at. I can get a sense of what's happening. What I typically do is if I don't have a scanner up, I'll go into my presets here and I'll go into, high options volume, and I'll see what's up and what's down. CRWD looks good. Zoom looks good. HOG. I haven't traded HOG in a long time. Wow, I haven't seen that ticker in a very long time. How could I forget about HOG? And then Disney's up. Disney's been great. I know that y'all in the options world have been trading Disney, and it still has a squeeze. So this goes in line with Chewy, where you have a daily squeeze. It's looking bullish. And I'm going to go ahead and sell a put credit spread. This is something that I wrote down in my journal. I wanted to have a put credit spread at least on by this afternoon. So I'll probably do the 195, 190 put credit spread. And it just basically means that I'm bullish and I'm ready for this squeeze to fire to the upside and go back into $200. All right, let me check on my net short. Okay, there we go. Here's 950. Now this is where I want to buy, okay? But not yet, because now we're getting those negative ticks that I'm talking to you about. So if we go through 950, the next level for me is going to just be 925. And then you might be asking, well, Jack, you're already like up and almost about to get your daily goal. Why aren't you taking profits right here? Well, I'm keeping an eye on the top left-hand side of my screen. This is really giving me good information. If VIX are popping and the ticks are still negative, well, then I see more downside. And so I'm going to just kind of look at 950 as either a spot to get out or a place where I go, okay, I'm comfortable with holding this just in case these negative ticks continue to stay negative. And what that means is just there are more tickers that are down than up, and there's more institutional selling. The more you see negative 600, the more you see negative 700. If it's negative 1,000, we are selling off at least 20 points, 25 points, maybe 50 in the Nasdaq, and that can continue as well. But right now, there's no indication of that. We're just right back to that level that I thought we'd get to at 950. And then we'll go back to this chart real quick and look at the 5-minute range on Thursday and Friday. And all this is giving me is an idea of where we could bounce, or if we fell through it, what's our next level? And that's going to be 13,920 if we get below 950. Okay. So let's keep an eye on these market internals here, because that was somewhat negative. And if we break through 950, and we call this failure, right? So if it's failing at a certain level, we call it, hey, this is, let's say you're following the S&Ps. So let's bring those up. /MES for micros. Let's say that we completely break through 4155. That's a failure at 4155. We've already had a little bit of failure at 4167. So we'll see. And here's the NASDAQ right below 950, now 940, negative 600 ticks. So been short and net negative the entire morning based on the information that my workspaces give me. And then also I teach from this. You can join me in the futures room every day at 1 o'clock Central. And this is typically what I'm going to be up to, is just this. I'm going to look at market internals. I'm going to look at my pivot points, where it makes sense to buy or sell. And now we're getting that negative 800. So I've already exceeded my goal. If I wanted to take profits here, I can. And now that we have negative 700 at 920, I'm looking for 900. But I told you I'm going to stick to my guns here and just see if we can get failure under 925. If we can, I'm going to hop out of this net negative or net bearish position. Let's just call that what it is. It's not rocket science. Okay, so just as an example, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to hop out here at 920, and then boom, I have hit $146 above my daily goal. Typically, I'd be entertaining getting, staying in this short position on those negative ticks, but I can always jump in. And in 3 trades that I've done, just to show you kind of how I look at things, I've already exceeded my goal. I've made half of $1,000, and now I can just sit back and go, okay, well, if we can bounce off of maybe 900, that'd be great. If we could get back into 950, all we did was clear out the stops from the morning in Thursday and Friday's range, and then maybe we buy these. So I'm going to take a quick breather, because I can really go on for a while without even taking any oxygen. It's a scary thing to say. So yes, I typically do post out the alerts. It's been really back and forth. So there really hasn't been, yes, I've been sitting here trading, but really I was just trying to show an example on 3 contracts, what you can do, like what is the possibility. And I didn't really have market conviction. Like I didn't think it was a great idea to be short until, it started to work in my favor. We started to get those negative ticks. But now I'm looking for anywhere below 13,900. So I'm just trying to show I don't have bearish market conviction, but right now it does look pretty bearish now below 900, down to 886, which is another key level. And so that's why I haven't posted a trade, because personally, I don't believe what's happening. Like I'm not short, right? I'm not on the larger picture frame. I'm not, I don't want to get stuck in a short for too long. I was just using that as an example. negative 600 ticks. I actually don't mind shorting this again, y'all. These negative 600 ticks could bring us down to the Thursday range. And honestly, we're here and we do have the negative market internals. So typically in the futures room, if we have a setup on my 3 time frames here, then we'll look at that and go, wow, okay, here's the trade and blah, 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 blah for so many reasons. And then I'll post this out with target 1, target 2, possibly target 3 with a stop loss. So right now I'm just trying to educate you on micro futures and show you, what's possible and why I do what I do whenever it comes to my workspace. So let me jump into some comments. I haven't looked at them for a quick minute. Hey, Neil, good to see you. Always interested to see what Neil's talking about. Neil's he's a great example of how to trade futures, what to look at, what key levels to consider, all that kind of stuff. Recommended entry for ZB. Ooh, I like where your head's at, though. Let's take a look at it. So I don't typically trade bonds, but I like where your head's at as far as maybe considering a continued short in bonds. But as far as a level, definitely give you that. ZB. Oop, there we go. No 2 forward slashes. Well, last week I was looking at bonds and I was looking at 155 or 156 flat, but that's so far away. You can really start to look at 157 flat. What did I do? Did I short the NASDAQ at 921 again? So I've been net short the entire morning. And then if we break through 900, I am looking to get out one more time at 886. And then this is just 3 short trades. And you can see that, P&L, they're up at the top. This started out at a $6,500 account. And I've had no emotion. I've had no, stress. Because I know that I can get out if I'm down $200 in this trade and then just, it's fine. Right now, based on this chart on the NASDAQ, it does look like we are going to, and by the way, this could quite possibly turn into some really nasty selling. Okay. We didn't hold 14,000. We didn't hold 13,950. We didn't hold 13,900. Where's the floor, right? Well, now I'm looking at 886, and below that is going to be 842. So, this could be creating a larger picture of a larger sell-off, and the NASDAQ is now down almost 1%. And I don't mind being net short right now still, because we didn't hold 950, we didn't hold 920, and we're struggling to hold 900. Samir, so I look at pivots, and those are just basically key levels where I'm going to be considering entry and exit for the trade. And then, let's see here. That was a short for an example at 920. So where would I be out might be the question. Well, I actually don't mind letting this kind of break down below 886. And if this continues and we continue to sell off and we continue to get negative ticks, I'm looking at 850 and 840 again. Let me take a look at the S&P because we are coming into 54. And we could get a bounce right here if we get down to 54 in the S&P. I was looking at Neil's comments there for the weekly pivot at 41.54. Good stuff. Good stuff. So I'm gonna hop out of this just to be out. Just in case we bounce above 900. I think that might be, a little bit premature getting out of this short position. And I'm typically not short on a Monday, but like I said, I have good information feeding me a directional. For the examples, I didn't want to be long because being long on a Monday after monthly expiration, after being extended and after having a strong week, 2 weeks, it makes sense to start, kind of coming back to at least trying to make a reversion to the mean. And here I am. All I'm doing is taking 20 or 30 points here and there. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this position. And you can see I'll get filled here in a second. Boom. I'm up now $700 for the day. 684 technically, fine. If you want to rob me of $16, that's fine. And I probably going to entertain shorting the indexes over the next week. You can do that through the Qs. You can do that through the NDX. You can do it through SPX. It's all groovy to me, however you want to do it. Okie dokie. And then you say, well, Jack, what does that even look like? Okay. Well, what it looks like is if I wanted to do the Qs, I'd go, okay, type in Q, and this is just the web-based. I would go, okay, I'm going to do a call credit spread here, and I'm going to go ahead and go, maybe this could be used as a hedge into Friday, and I could go, well, maybe the Qs make a second deviation move, maybe not, who knows, but I wouldn't mind being deep in the money here. Okay, and getting a nice little risk to reward ratio on a significant pullback down to, I don't know, maybe 335, and then have the extension out to 330 for the call that I'm be selling against the call that I'm buying. I don't mind doing that, and this could be just used as a hedge, right? So I'm going to go ahead and try to get filled here at 335 and 330. Might be able to get filled at 412. I'm not going to post this out because this is not futures, but you can follow along with the idea, and the idea is just to have some type of bearish position on, so I don't have to, just in case I want to continue to be long Chewy or Lulu or some names that really do consider my attention. They really are grabbing me because they have squeezes, and I'm like, oh gosh, I want to buy these things. That's what's going through my head. But I don't mind risking this much to trade under 334. So yeah, I'll go ahead and try to get filled here on that. So I'm working a short Qs at 330 and 335 with a call credit spread. Okay. And I'm not filled yet. I'm asking for 412. It might not give it to me, but I'm also kind of expecting to get filled anyway, because it's the Qs, and why not? Okay. Now, it was a good idea to jump out of all my trades. Okay, so I got filled at 330 and 335. You can see my activity here. I've done these trades this morning, right? All these have been winners on 3 contracts. Um, I had an overnight trade that got filled. That's awesome. So I actually woke up to being up $100, and then I got filled at 412 credit for the April 23rd, 330, 335 call credit spread. Okay. And if you wanted to take a look at that, we can go similar order, boom, and it'll repopulate there. And all we're doing is growing this $6,500 account. I know that sounds weird because it's such a weird number. But I think I was doing some account maintenance because I have so many Tastyworks accounts. I was like, well, I just need to get rid of like 1 or 2 of these. Like, there's no reason to have these anymore. Over years and years of doing this, there's many reasons. Maybe I wanted to get around the PDT rule. That's the main reason for having multiple accounts. You can have your large accounts, you can have your small accounts, and then you can get around the PDT by transferring funds if you need to, if you think that, having only 3 trades in a small account is, inhibiting you or, limiting you really. It's more of a limiting factor. So we'll just kind of see how this plays out, and I'm willing to be okay with just having that risk on. So I'm just risking $4 for a pullback in the indexes, and I think I'm fine with that because that would be a nice $20 if I get to take in the entire credit by Friday. And then the NASDAQ is trading, easily below 850 or something like that. So it's been kind of a weird morning. I do not have directional bias at all. What can you do? Yes. Yeah, here you go. I'll show you this again. So right there at the top, you can see exactly what I did. And if you want to copy this, go ahead. Feel free. Not much risk on the table, and great if it works out. And typically after a monthly expiration, being, that we had an extension and we had a very strong 2 weeks, I'm comfortable with it. This is the time to have a little bit of bearish position on, but not too much to where I'm like, okay, well, if that goes against me and we start trading back into 14,000 and things start to get really weird again, we continue to climb, I'm only losing $4. I can make up for it. Guess what, folks? I've been trading this morning and I've already made up for it just in case it does continue to rally, because I exceeded my $400 goal by almost $300 this morning. And the trick behind, write this down in your brain. Trading micro futures is all about taking profits early. You can always get out. You can always get back in. Okay. You saw me catch some pretty good moves, $200 here, $200 there, $100 for the last one, and then another $100. So typically, if you're going to do 3 contracts, reward yourself early at about $100 to $150. I found that the $100 increment there on 3 contracts is a really nice spot where you can consistently rinse and repeat, and jump in to multiple trades like I did this morning. I feel like I make it look easy. I think that, considering everything that's going on and that we didn't hold 14,000, I wasn't going to step into a long after monthly expiration. So I typically want to test the short side, and then helpful that we had negative ticks and some negative momentum, and then being down 1% now in the NASDAQ. Well, I mean, we're not down 1%. We were. But that didn't hold up. So 920 held, 4160 held quite well. Yeah. So pretty solid morning. Was anyone short with me just for those quick educational examples? So you can expect a lot of that. It's just a lot of repeat, looking at levels, and kind of seeing where we are. Now on this time frame setup, it's the 1, it's the 5, and it's the 10. We have continued red 10x bars, and I typically focus on the 5-minute chart. Okay, the 5-minute chart is going to give me an accurate reading of market conviction. The red 10x bars say it all. The negative ticks that we had say it all. And then the 10-minute chart here just gives me the rejection of the highs. It shows me another rejection of 13,970. Now we're trading below 950. And really, we haven't even made a 5-minute reversion to the mean. If you wanted to buy this here back into 950, 960, I actually really like that idea. And I just ask that you would have, if you're new to micro futures and if you wanted to do 2 or 3 contracts, keep your stops at 40 or 30 points. I remember the day whenever we were having, and my strategy has to be tweaked a little bit every once in a while because the market changes every once in a while. Okay, so whenever I'm trading with my VIPs in either the training room or the futures room, sometimes we've had to really had loose stops, and that means 60, 70 point stops in the NASDAQ on micro futures. Even there were days whenever I had a 100-point stop. We were having 100-point swings within 15 or 20 minutes of each other. So, we're not having that right now, but just always be ready to tweak your strategy just a little bit based on, hey, we've got earnings season coming up. Oh, the implied volatility is going higher. Oh, we've made consecutive 300-point moves on the NASDAQ. So it makes sense to widen out those stops and not admit your loss by being too careful. You're being too careful by limiting your position size. That's the way you can run the show. Okie dokie. All right, so let's do this, folks. We have an hour into the cash session. The market's down 100 points. It's not convincing me just yet that this thing's going to roll over, but that's what I'm expecting. So I'll tell you what. Let's take a 5-minute break. Let's let you do whatever you need to do. I don't have any open positions on in futures, either in my TradeStation account or my Tastyworks account. I'm flat. I've exceeded my daily quota. I really have nothing else to do unless we start to get really positive ticks or really negative ticks. And then ideally, this is what I want. I want a sell-off this week, and I want it this morning. I want it at the beginning of the week. And I think we can short this again if we reject 950 and start to get really nasty negative ticks. What I'm looking for off of this chart, and I've been kind of looking at it all morning, is this thing right here on the 5-minute all the way back to last Wednesday. And that takes us below 13,900, below 13,885 into 829, 800, 750. I want to be net short pretty much for the first day or two. And then maybe that turns into, dare I say, the Monday lows at 13,731. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a 3 to 5 minute break. Let's be back at 9:35. I'm going to take a breather. You're going to take a breather. We're going to relax. We're going to come back and we're going to take a look at some tickers, but I want to focus on the indexes, and we'll try to put on another trade that we can all follow along. What is my target for the vertical? So I want to be trading into a second deviation at best. And then what I'm looking for is right on down to about 75. Sorry, I had the wrong thing up there. That looked, for some reason, I was seeing the Qs lining up I had my number out of my mind was right, and then my eyeballs saw something else. 330 and 335 is where I need to be trading. A second deviation move would be under 330. So that's great. And then my profit target is going to be 60% on this trade. But if it's a hedge and it does work out, then I should probably get 100% of the credit that I've opened up here. All right, folks. So let's do a quick 5-minute break, and we'll be back at 9:36. I'm going to mute the microphone, and we'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, everybody, we are back. Got a fresh cup of some amazing Purity coffee. They don't pay me to say that, but you know what? It was a great tip for some great new brand of coffee. And so if you're just joining us, what I've been doing is going through a little bit as to, how small the margin requirement, the capital requirement, how little it takes to grow a small account. Very little effort, just, needing to understand what levels make sense to buy and sell. And right now, we're just floating in no man's land, which really isn't great. I'd like to throw on an established trade that I believe in and not just using it for educational purposes. And then I think this is a perfect time just to give you a quick review as to why I get in how I do. So Connor, this is addressing your comments there. So typically what we've been doing is just buying the market, right? That's the thing that makes sense throughout the day, especially on pullbacks anywhere close to 950 or 14,000. And typically what we've been doing is buying the 5-minute reversion to the mean. So that's the first one, Connor. We're always trying to buy this right here, right where this little red arrow is. So we're trying to buy these pullbacks, okay? Now, if it rejects like we have now, and we're very, bearish below 950 and especially below 14,000, selling it at the reversion to the mean. Okay, so the reversion to the mean can be two things on the 5-minute chart. It can be bullish, like, hey, let's rest here and then let's buy it, right? We would have bought the 950 if we would have held right down here, but we didn't. So the reversion to the mean now is a short at 950. And for me, honestly, it's a short right now. Okay, so that's the first one, is just we look at the 5-minute, and then the 1 minute is used for what I call tactical entry. The 10-minute is used for context. It just kind of shows you the overnight move. You can see this on the right-hand side. It gives you an idea of like where we've gone, how high we went in the morning, how low we got in the morning. And we go back to our 5-minute chart and go, well, the most that we could possibly do right now is just jump up another ATR, which would bring us into 950. So in this case, and this is an odd case, like I said, because we're typically buying the 5-minute reversion to the mean, I would sell the 5-minute reversion to the mean, and that would be 950. Okay, yes, confirm that we have negative ticks continued. So let's just, if you want to, you can put in an order to sell at 950. Or if you want to sell now, go ahead. This looks like it could turn. Mondays can turn into not just being down, 80 points or whatever it might be. What is it now, 100? But we can really start to see some nasty selling. So what I'm going to do, yeah, we're getting some negative 500 ticks. We might break below 900 here. And clear this out. I'm just going to entertain this for a minute. Those negative 600 ticks are sustained. So that short down below 950. Dang, I wish I would have gotten filled there at 920. Let's see if I can. 918. Actually, let me cancel that because that's not a... I'm going to go ahead and short this at 925. I'm sorry. Let's see here. 920, 935, 930. So I'll do a short at the 932, and hopefully I get filled. I think there's enough volatility that I can sit on it and wait. And I'm not desperate to get into this trade, but we do have enough argument for more short side for sure. And negative 600 ticks coming in here. So Connor, that should get you started there. And you know, the idea is to look at the elephant from multiple angles, right? We want to see the elephant's tusks. It's giant water hose that comes out of its face. We want to see its, we want to see, looking at an elephant cannot be that entertaining for too long. Negative 700 ticks. So this does look like a pullback and could continue. So I'm not getting filled at my short at 932 just yet. I wish I had been, but that's okay. And then Connor, just stick around. I go through all this stuff repetitiously, if that's a word. Once again, definitely a degree in psychology, not English or grammar. And, sorry. Repeatedly. Jay Bottom, good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, negative 700 ticks, negative 800. Yeah, this is going to break. This looks like it's going to break down below 900. And I'm just going to short it here. And just to kind of continue to show you the magic behind micro futures. Hopefully I can get filled on one more. I'm only filled for 2 shorts at 914.25. Not cool, Mr. Market. Not cool at all. Don't fill me on just 2. Why you got to do that to me? Okay. Fine. Seriously? It didn't give me 3 contracts. That has not happened to me at all this year on the NASDAQ. How could you possibly? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, fine. Here's what we're going to do. I just got out of that because I didn't like being in just 2 contracts. Let's see if we can short this back up from 920 one more time. As you can see, I took short. Oh, negative 900 ticks. I'm the dummy here. Yeah, this is looking nasty. This could get ugly. So if you want to short from 13,900, that would be what that would be appropriate. Negative 1,000 ticks now sustained. So Connor, pay attention. This is one of the reasons why I'm involved in a short, because those ticks got really nasty. And we've already had a pullback and rejecting higher highs, and now we're making higher or lower highs, lower lows. Yeah, and lower lows. Man, I wish I would have kept on that short, and I wish I would have gotten filled at 3 contracts. That would have been like 4 or 5 winning trades in a row. Damn thee. It's a little ridiculous, All right. So, well, that's no fun, missing out on the fun. Hey, but guess what? We have a short that's on the Qs. And so I'm benefiting from the pullback no matter what. So this is great. Okay? Did anyone else take the Q short? I know that John probably put on his short, or someone else maybe in the options room that did. Okay, nice, Slava. Nice. Okay. So this is where we want to sit. We want to sit right here and go, okay, well, maybe we can sell the 13,900s. I would have loved to have that 40-point pullback more and more and more. And then the game plan is just hold that Q short into Friday. Man, if this thing starts to sell, if we start to get below, I'm going to chase it just for fun. You don't have to do anything right here, but these negative 500, negative 600, negative 1,000 ticks. I talked about this morning a little bit. I'll show you this chart again. It's the 5-minute NASDAQ pivot points, and you can see the Wednesday lows, and that's what I'm targeting. So I'm looking for a bounce off of 13,770, and I'm looking for us to flush all the way down below 850, below 820. Do I have a short on? Yes. Is this a weird morning? Yes. Did I want to be short? Not really. I was doing this for educational purposes. I was hoping we would have at least a Monday head fake out, give the people a chance to short it at higher highs. But this smells like this is going to continue all day. Okay. Short from 940. A lot of y'all probably shorted the highs. It was a morning fade kind of morning for sure. That first 15 minutes was so eerily quiet. I was like, no way. Not after monthly expiration are we going to trade above 14,000. We have so much to get through before we push higher. And it makes sense to just kind of, you know, be involved on the short side. And then Connor, to continue to answer, and like I said, it's all situational. Trading is not, the only thing that should be consistent is your plan. The market's not going to give you a sense of consistency. That would be a huge miscalculation on your part. Let me see where we're at. And I'm just going to hold on, move this over here. We might have a few breaks of just kind of quiet, nothing really happening. And that's okay. So it's a good time for me to answer questions and, anything that you want me to specifically answer, I'm here for you. But typically right now, this is going to be slow moving. It's been kind of a weird morning for sure, but we've been on the right side of it being short. And let's see if we can start breaking through. Now, let's keep going with my process. Let's say that we continue to have red 10x bars on the 1 minute, okay? And then let's just say that maybe we start a 1 minute reversion to the mean. And that would be trading back into 13,900, which we totally can. It's only 18 points away. But then what I would do is I would expect another flush. We have not broken through the 5-minute 1 ATR. We have not made a 5-minute reversion to the mean. And we're down 1% in the NASDAQ now. So I don't see this. If you're short, patience is the game. If you're short and we start trading above 13,900, don't let that shake you out. All we're doing is picking up more players to the downside. That's what this looks like. And honestly, y'all, I think by the end of day or tomorrow, 13,700 or 13,730 seems reasonable. If things get really nasty, there's a quotable level down to 13,300. I'm not even joking. Which is exciting because, if you're short in the Q position that we have, hey, we're rocking and a rolling, And so I'm just going to be patient and answer questions, comments if you have any. Let me know. And right now, we're just attempting to push up to 900, making at least an attempt to hold 920. And then if you wanted to short at 920 or 930, 940 is your 5-minute reversion to the mean. So that could be a potential short for you if you wanted to remain short for the remainder of the day into tomorrow. But it's all looking good. I'm trying to, I use 4 monitors. A lot of traders use 6 or 8, and I get it. I used to use 6. I had 6 at the office. And, if you're a new trader and you're like, oh, I need to have 6 screens or 4, you don't. You really don't. And you can take a look at other traders, and they might have 2 screens, right? I think 4 for me is a magic number. I don't like to turn my head, and I think 8 screens can be cool and exciting. And maybe one day I'll have 8 screens, but I really don't need it. The lower target for the NASDAQ, I know this sounds weird, but you might get a prime opportunity right here to short at 930 if you want to. But I'm looking to the downside for a target around 770. Yeah, all we're doing, like I said, watch this play out. Okay, watch this play out. We have a 5-minute chart that's all we're paying attention to. All we're doing is holding lower lows. We're trading below 940. We're trading below 930. If you wanted to put in a short on 3 contracts at 940, I like that idea. Okay? I like anything short below 930 right now. And if the market reverses and starts to show strength for some reason, which I don't think it's going to, there's been enough evidence that maybe 850 and 800 is where we're trading in about an hour or two, or maybe by this afternoon, you're getting an opportunity to short this thing. And honestly, if I wasn't already in 2 or 3 contracts, I'd probably be putting in a short at 940 with y'all, because the 938 5-minute reversion to the mean is solid, and that's lower lows and lower highs from about 9:15, 45 minutes into the cash session. All right. And now it's just a waiting game. And now we've, been a witness to the action. The Q position looks fantastic. And I think that's something that I think that'll be if the market continues to sell off and we start to get negative, nasty ticks again, the Q position that we put on this morning will look great into Thursday and Friday, especially if we're trading down at 13,700 or lower. And then you're getting the opportunity to short the market here as well. J bottom, yeah, nice. You'll buy the NASDAQ at 13,100 or 130. I get it. Hey, I'm with you. I think it's entirely possible. Entirely possible. Excuse me, wrong pipe. We're not going to be saying that tomorrow, right? Hey. Just kidding. It's funny because tomorrow's 420. You know, do I care? No, not at all. I do think Dogecoin is hilarious, though, just for the record. I think if Dogecoin hits this environment is ridiculous. This is 1998 to the year 2000 all over again. We've got Nifties, we've got crypto, we've got the Nasdaq rallying, going parabolic at times. Nice, David. That's funny. How do you? That's great, David. Gummies and bongs. Y'all, it's a good time in here if you're joining from YouTube. I like to say 50% jokes 100% of the time. That doesn't make sense. No, but I like to have fun, and this is great. So, I like that we have a little bit more market conviction on the 10-minute. I think at some point this starts to really break down, and I'm positioned appropriately. Negative 500 ticks, negative 600 ticks. Now remember, whenever we have moves like this, expect a really rapid push higher, okay? And then wait for the follow through. It's all about the waiting game, okay? There's no sense in thinking, oh, we're going to be trading into 950 and then it's going to continue to push higher. This is not the environment. This Monday has turned into a NASDAQ that's down and rejecting 950 and other key levels. And then earlier this morning, whenever we were looking at the S&P, we were talking about 4167. We were talking about 4162. And now we're breaking below all that as well. Okay, let's go back to this setup, and you can see that the market internals have trended bearishly. The ticks are negative. The VIX futures popped just a little bit, and the put-call ratio is rising, and it's flattening out here, so that's been slightly bullish. But if this starts to catapult again back into 0.6, and the negative ticks go into negative 1,000, then we can talk about, negative 900 ticks to negative 1,000 ticks brings us right back down to 900. And so this 5-minute chart is the most important chart in this, or it's the most important time frame on this workspace. And if you need to know why, here's the 1-minute chart. We're just going back into the lower lows that we had about 30 minutes ago. And for this to trade above 950 would mean that these ticks need to start settling and pushing higher, and they have not done that. I've given them 15 minutes to do so. And the market has literally given you the opportunity to be short. We've talked about it for a little bit here. So if you wanted to short the 940s, you don't need it, but you have my blessing. Okie dokie. And if it gets quiet, it just means that I'm resetting some things and looking at some things that might be important. And y'all, we haven't really talked about the indexes, or like what I just call them, the liquid ETFs, right? So all the ETFs like the diamonds, GLD. GLD is neutral. The Qs are down almost 1%. SLV is neutral. SMH, semiconductor ETF, is down 2%. Bonds are quiet. The TQQQ is down. That makes sense. You know, so awesome, Connor. Yeah. So I always just say like slow and easy. You know, there's a lot to take in. Um, I think that my strategy, I try to keep it simple. On a morning like this, it's been difficult because typically we're buying the market, right? 2 weeks before monthly expiration. For the past 2 weeks, we've just bought every dip. But we now know what we can do and what we can expect. One, after monthly expiration. Two, after a quiet 15-minute open and then a sell-off with negative market internals, you know, being what they are. I'm going to try to jump in. I closed out my short from 870 at 13. I'm sorry. Yeah. 13 looks like I'm out at 13,900. I'm going to try to short this at 950 and then just call it a day. If we continue to sell off, maybe we do. Here's what I hope. I hope that y'all can have some type of, you know, format or blueprint from anything that I've given you this morning to make you a better trader. It's all about position size, and it's all about not over trading and just trading what you're comfortable with. Hey Juan, good to see you, my man. You scaled in a long 12 day, but took heat, better timing. You scaled in long. So, yeah. Well, Juan, I know that, you know, you've been in the rooms for a while, so you deliberately disobeyed me. That's a quote from The Lion King, y'all. Whenever God, what's his name? What's the son's name? Help me out here. I need my Disney references. Simba. Simba. Wow. Simba goes into the shadow and meets the hyenas and Scar, his evil uncle. And here we are talking about trading as professionals, right? Next stop, Pinocchio. Okay, so once again, 5-minute chart, a good example of a great place to be short. 930, 920, negative ticks. Here they come. So lower lows, lower highs, continuation with red 10x bars on the 5 and the 10-minute. Okay, I'm looking for this to start trading below 880. Those negative ticks need to stay sustained for that to happen. And the VIX futures down in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen are they're popping. I mean, we're retesting. We're doing this. The elevator's going down gradually. Gradually. And it's quiet. I mean, it's 10 o'clock. Typically into 10:30, it does just kind of quiet down a little bit. The morning move has happened. And I think we're trading lower into tomorrow. Maybe for the rest of the week. Like this could turn ugly. And then we could be trading 13,500, 13,300, and that Q trade would look most excellent. And, being short anywhere at 930 or 920 looks great as well. That's all right, Juan. You'll get it next time. I mean, personally, I don't know why you went against what I was doing, but I mean, you can send me flowers to make up for it. It's fine. No worries. Yeah, Pete, that's a great point on the tech names with Bitcoin and all that stuff. I'm not bullish Bitcoin. I actually don't care at all about Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the Napster of cryptos. I think the successful cryptos will have utility. Hate me all you want. It's or please don't. But I think it's more intimidating to buy Bitcoin, and the upside is limited. Whereas you're seeing things like Doge, XRP, Ethereum Classic, some other names like Polygon and Polkadot and Chainlink. Those are my favorite because those have real utility. And I consider Bitcoin the clunky, slow, store of value kind of instrument, if you want to call it that. So check this out, y'all. And this one's for Connor. So here's your 5-minute reversion to the mean. Here's your opportunity to have a small short or scale into a short. Okay, anywhere below 950. Don't over position size it. There's no need. All you're looking for is this day to continue to trend lower after the small push higher. Yes, I have heard of MoonSafe, Jay. So I've been in the crypto space for almost. It's hard because I started buying it a long time ago, but I started teaching people about it longer than I have, actually invested or purchased any crypto. So like 7 or 8 years. And I've never traded it. I don't need to trade it. It's more like a buy and hold. And, I'll pay. My goal is to pay for my Cybertruck with crypto. The order's in. I want to have, the coolest Cybertruck in Austin. I'm going to do some cool stuff to it if I can. I don't know what the options are going to be on the Cybertruck as far as paint color, interior, but my Cybertruck will have, I kind of want to do a matte black if I can. I'm not sure if I'll be able to though. I want matte black, and then I want, some cool accessories on it or something. Yeah, and I spent the weekend I do digital art, so I've been making nifties, and I'm going to put them up for sale somewhere. I'm still working on it. It's going to take me another week or two. I already have like 10 or 15 art pieces. I like to draw on my iPad and go do rabbit holes in Adobe. Super fun stuff. So anyway, back to the more important things like the Cybertruck. No, right now, we have 20 minutes left in the session. We're just trading very quietly. I expect to break down again at some point today. I think we might get it for the next 20 minutes. We could get a 1030, puke. And that's just a really poor way of saying that the market continues to sell off. But we're only down 100 points, so we're not really like, experiencing the apocalypse at all right now. This is just, maybe the start of something larger that develops into the afternoon. Want to be cautious. Yeah, Mike, I agree with you. They could have. That's the one thing that I don't like about Cybertruck is its actual name. They could have put some more thought into it. Here's my way of thinking for that. If they're going to choose brutal minimalist architecture for the frame of the truck, why would you not use the logo and do the same thing? Like brutal, kind of bold, kind of blocky text. Cybertruck makes sense just because it's Elon, but you could have made it like a cool, like code name. Like he named his son, I think his son's name is Kyle, but in code it's the AEX whatever, So I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly what it is, but they basically gave one of their sons a code name. So you could have done something cooler, but Cybertruck is fine. I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm going to have a bulletproof tank, okay, that can tow a Ford F-350, that can go 500 miles, and guess what? It's going to drive itself. Because, yeah, I secured the self-driving package and the triple motor. We're going all out. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be another, year and a half before we can get them. And it's first come, first serve, and I put in the order not too long ago. So, crossing my fingers that I'm rolling around Austin, Texas in a Cybertruck sooner than later. Because I need a new ranch truck, and I kind of wait for just to be going down Mopac and just having the car do all the work for me while we're raging to rage against the machine, or chilling out to some saxophone with Kenny G. It could go either way, let's be honest. Who doesn't love a little bit of alto sax? Yeah, so anytime I see those articles on Tesla's crashing, I'm always curious as to was it the driver? I don't pay attention to those stories. I know that there was one over the weekend, but I read 2 articles, and it seems like this was the actual driver's fault. I don't know enough. I don't have enough information, but I've read the articles and kind of read the report this morning. The Musk Trusk. Okay, maybe not. Chandler, that's funny. Me and Lorna got a laugh out of that. That's funny. The Musk truck. That would have been too meta, though, right? Elon wouldn't have done that. He just went in there with some goofy spray paint text, and let's just call it the Cybertruck. Because let's be honest, it is kind of a Cybertruck. Okay, so here's that 5-minute reversion to the mean. You have my blessing to short this, but just have yourself a tighter stop. If this is the turning point where things, push a little bit higher, it's certainly appropriate to have a tighter stop because you don't want to get stuck. The idea here is if you're going to be short, and then have a tighter stop because you don't want this to start rallying against you. And then the moment we're trading into 14,000, you have all the shorts from this morning buying their position back, and off we go. That being said, I'm still, bearish on this market after monthly expiration. Pete, I'm still short gold. And here are my overall thoughts going into the rest of my session here. I think we trade in tight range into the afternoon or go lower, but I'm not expecting too much more for the next 15 or 10 minutes. We have 15 minutes left. I think we trade. It makes sense to just trade within range, 10 or 15 points back and forth into the rest of my session. So it's up to you to, participate or not. I like the short side based off what we've seen this morning. The 1 minute has a squeeze. The 5 minute does not have a squeeze, and we're making lower lows and lower highs. I think this is a great spot to short. Oh, Chris, good to see you. Chris 7568. What is this? The Alpha Motor Inc.? Oh, cool. Yeah, I've seen this before. I was looking at the JAX, the JAX. Yeah, the JAX. That's cool, like a little buggy. It's not for me, but me and my sister were talking about it. She lives out in California. And then, she lives out in California. So they're all about being different. But yeah, these are cool cars. Like, here, I'll show you what I'm looking at. And then here's the Wolf. The Wolf Plus looks really cool too. It's a pickup. But they just seem so small. And I don't know how I stumbled across Alpha. And so if you did get short at 9:30, or if you're getting short now at 9:40, put a stop up to the 5 minute first ATR, and that's going to be 25 points, 13,965. Just a tight stop. If you get stopped out, that's fine. I think maybe it makes sense to make it a little bit looser, maybe up to 970, just right outside that first ATR. But that's where I would have my stop if I was short. Chandler. Hey, there's some honesty there. I appreciate that. Yeah, Chris, I saw that report on Tesla being 10 times safer than the national average. That's a pretty interesting chart. Man, I wish I had that chart up here on my computer, but I don't. That's okay. Just Google Tesla safety rating chart. You'll see it. It's amazing. And if you wanted to have a more liberal stop, 990 would be that 40-point stop, which is totally fine too. You're gonna, you're risking getting, stopped out, but at a much, higher price point. So you might have to take a larger loss, but you're also giving yourself breathing room. And I'm still net short. If we can get right back down to about 920 or 930, I'll put on another short. But this is your 5 minute reversion to the mean to the upside. And if we reject this and start to get negative ticks, then it makes sense to start trading down to 920 if we break through that. The question is where's the floor, right? We've already hit kind of a midterm floor around 860. And we could, maybe bounce above 920, but we'll see what happens. I think the morning is kind of over as far as trading. Does the recent swing high in the NQ invalidate the lower high movement? No, not yet. And that's a great question. If we get into that first ATR on the 5 minute chart at 13,965, then yes, it does. Okay. but that doesn't mean it can continue. That's why I'm saying put that stop up there a little bit higher than that first ATR. I would say put a stop. If you're short now, put your stop up at 975 or 990. If it crosses through that, one, you take a losing trade, we get it back tomorrow, but two, it also validates that was, maybe that's it. And maybe we start to trade higher. But after monthly expiration, I'll say it again, after this pullback, I'm starting to look for lower lows. Do we have enough data to even make that analysis about Tesla? Are we talking the safety test? Yeah, the safety test is out. You can check it out. They have video of it. It's really interesting. I watched the video. The video is crazy. I mean, they literally turn these things upside down and inside out, and it, doesn't have any effect on the car. I want to be in a safe car. I mean, I'm going to be in a bulletproof car. I think only to 9mm caliber, but either way, it's still cool. Still cool. Okay. So not to toot the horn, maybe it's doing it too early. Oh, here comes that morning stretch. There it is. But that is that 5-minute reversion to the mean to the downside. So here we go. And that 10-minute, look at the 10-minute chart, look at the histogram on the right-hand side. I'm going to zoom in. Bearish momentum. We didn't hold 930. We didn't hold 920. If you're short at 940 or 930, awesome. The spread that I took on the Qs, I don't want to lose sight of my chart, but here it is. I'll throw it right there in the bottom. There, can you see that? There you go. So all we did was retest lower lows and higher lows, the 5-minute reversion to the mean. Oh, did you need to see that longer? It's just the 330, 335 call credit spread. So I'm risking like $4 to make 20. And I want to buy this back for 0 cents. Best case scenario come Friday. I want that complete $20, but I will consider by Wednesday, if we do have a nasty pullback into Wednesday and we're trading much lower now, I'm going to take profits. And we'll talk about this if you follow me into the training room at 10:30 every day, but Wednesday, and then in the futures room every day at 1 o'clock, feel free to remind me of that position and we can talk about it. Okie dokie. So this should be, this was a pretty dense morning as far as like my setups, my, how I'm looking at the market after monthly expiration. The NASDAQ was a little extended. So it makes more sense to just look at my chart on the 5-minute and go, well, we've made lower highs and lower lows. The negative ticks brought us down here, and now the next key level is 13,861. If we break through that, it's like, well, where could we possibly go? And significantly lower is the answer to that question. I got filled on the Q trade at 412. You can see that right at the top of your screen. I got a 412 credit, and it actually might be going. Yeah, I mean, you can try to get filled at 420. Try to get filled right outside the mid. Hey, why not? Why not ask for a 420? It's the week to do it. Okay, awesome, Bexley. Been following along with Fib Queen. She's got timing at 120 timing. Okay, low. Gotcha. And if you want to be out at maybe 900, that's fine too. The strikes for the SM for the Qs, there it is. So 335 and 330. There you go. Yep, 4 days out into Friday. No problemo. All right, y'all. So I'm going to head into the training room. Thank you for being here with me, all my YouTube people and my futures folks. It's been a great morning so far, and y'all know where I stand. Definitely not a dull morning. And if the ticks trend higher here, just remember, you don't need to cross your fingers. Just have a stop up at about at least one ATR is what I typically ask. If you want to be a little bit more liberal and maybe you just have 2 or 3 contracts on a larger portfolio, you can have a stop at 990, which is 2 ATR away. But honestly, your guess is as good as mine at this point after the flush from this morning. Just look out for, a reversion to the mean on the larger picture on the NASDAQ, and that would look like this on a daily chart on the right-hand side. Let me scroll back just a little bit. Then that would be 13,500. Totally possible. Not saying it's going to happen, but that would be, anywhere around 550, 560 would be the 21 period moving average, and that's a reversion to the mean. From here, I don't know, I never know what's going to happen. I can only give myself, good information and have a plan and push that way. And hey, if it bounces from here, we can rotate into bullish mode. There's an argument either way right now. Amazon down 10 points. Tesla's probably down 20. Yep, down 26. And the Nasdaq's just kind of quiet below 930. So we made that. You see what I mean? Is like we made that reversion to the mean on the 5-minute, but we didn't break through and we rejected that. So if you're short, look for 900. You can put in your stop loss, or not your stop loss. You can start trailing down below 900. And if we did trade below 900, I'd start looking for 860 or 850. And that's just your previous lows from this morning at 9:15 and 9:30. Okay. Awesome, y'all. So I'm going to be in the training room starting now. I have to sign off. Thank you so much for being here. Shahab. Hey, just stick around, Shahab. Just stick around. There's a lot of information here, okay? And whenever I was teaching myself along with some other mentors, hey, math was never my thing in junior high and high school. But then I discovered statistics, okay? And I love statistics. I call it the art form of math, okay? Statistics is all bowdy here in the options world, and statistics is, oh, here we go. We're breaking down here. All right, there it was. See, y'all, this is what I'm talking about. The 13,940, I've done this for 2 years now, We just watched the 5-minute chart. You know, we have a pretty successful history, a pretty successful trading record with watching the 1, the 5, and the 10. I'm super excited for y'all to be here. Super excited to continue to do this with you. I'm going to head over to the training room now. Thanks for being here. I'll catch you in the next one.